There's a mind-boggling new report out on the fossil fuel industry, and it details how they beat back government regulation. So Huffington Post reports here, major fossil fuel companies and trade groups shell out nearly $115 million a year to oppose efforts to reduce carbon emissions, according to a new report from the British research organization Influence Map. The largest share of the money comes from the American Petroleum Institute, the country's largest trade organization for oil and gas producers. It reportedly spends $65 million annually in efforts to block climate policy. API is followed by ExxonMobil, which spends $27 million, and Shell, which spends $22 million a year on anti-climate advocacy. The rest of the money comes from smaller fossil fuel companies and trade organizations. These figures dwarf the amount spent by supporters of climate change legislation, which is estimated at only $5 million annually, according to the report. That tells you everything that you need to know about why we've been dragging our feet so much on really turning away from fossil fuels and getting to clean, renewable energy. Because the pro-fossil fuel lobby spends $115 million. The anti-fossil fuel lobby, the people who are trying to do something about climate change, the green technology people, they only spend $5 million a year. Now, they just don't have the same resources and money that people in the oil industry do. Which is why we can't have money in politics, because then the people with the most money have the most power and influence, and if they're perpetuating a system that is unjust and is fucking over our future, quite literally, well, that's a mess of a system. It's a fucking clusterfuck. I mean, what a joke this is. And remember, guys, people in the fossil fuel industry, they've hired some of the same people, some of the same lobbyists who were responsible for pretending that cigarettes don't cause lung cancer from back in the 70s and the 80s. I mean, the same sleazy guys, and we know their record. They've been wrong on everything from the beginning, but they hired the same people to try to come up with these bullshit arguments about how needs more study or no, climate change isn't happening. And when you spend $115 million, you're going to get some motherfuckers who are convincing, and you're going to get some people who know how to work the system legally speaking and prevent legislation from passing and prevent a crackdown from the EPA. So this is the problem, man. This is something that is stifling progress. And again, with an issue like climate change, I think Bernie Sanders has it right when he says we have to look at this like a World War II level threat. Because, we're already seeing the effects of it, but sea level rise is like the least of the things you have to worry about. That's like the one main thing that people point to, like, oh, climate change, whatever, sea's going to rise a little bit, whatever, move along. No. It's also drought. It's also famine. It's also wars over resources. It's everything. It's all these different things which make it that sustain life being fucked with. I mean, natural disasters are going to shoot through the fucking roof. This is not something to take lightly. And we have all this money on the side of nothing to see here. And that's why we don't really move in the direction of clean energy right now. And move there in an urgent way. We have to take on these special interests. We have to get the money out of the system. And we have to make it so that we can protect the future for our fucking grandkids.